Hello, this is a continuation on lectures that are to mean something also, especially for police work, the same as post, because I am a graduate of of disability program that aims at not calling also physicians and officers mentally ill to escape responsibility and escape in fear medication. Therefore, I, as a physician, do not force somebody else's will out by claiming that I am more important because I am not crazy. And many police and the doctors are. That is also true for choice of sex, and the movie above is about that. That leads to maximum desire to marry, that is the person who is a source, and it is enough with one person that is more loved or more desired to not grant a wedding license, which answers the question of social worker Jamie Rochat on who and how can restrict having children for income. Well, that is the judge and licensing office that grants marriage licenses. Persons who asked, do you want your spouse in desire more than all of the porn, kink, and all of the vocabulary in the universe that cannot, by creating a sensation of danger, or having gloating in harm done, or that's source, or having that need of having work done, or having need being married, or having need to have the person have the love uh, to be superior, being a judge to the spouse or doctors or somebody else, giving that spouse approval to have sex, which that is not needed, that is in court to ask for protection. That is that movie about, from forcing out also of wanted marriage. So most desired person, and always and also most adored person. There is nobody else, no authority, no lover, no also judges, no teacher, no ex-wives, no mama, no papa, no other children that is loved more, being grown. If there are small children, that is different. That is an extension of love for that person towards that child from the womb to being born. If that sex was forced or offered in compassion to another person, and that child then is de facto of that person, and settlement is paying off whatever the other one has as responsibility, not all life. Having money collected all life, like is the American custom, or so it seems, also in places of social regime, where a person has to have only children for having a job forced out and being paid, not wanting to have sex, which is when love for subjects or for others is more than sex. Sex does not grow old because it is love and it is sacred. And that is what is the basis of issuing licenses to have children. There should be one, and there is. The questions for that in vocabulary is, do you ever feel that the spouse that you are, your fiance, is abusing you? When coming home, are you the point of interest, sexual interest and desire of that spouse as the best? Do you rejoice as being distinguished when that happens, being at home? Or do you need somebody else's approval nonstop, which is a deal breaker, even if it's mom? We ask for, as in information, for protection of that relationship from family. In what case? In, for example, case of having a honeymoon and having to have that honeymoon undisturbed, that having that person prefer one another, that is to have the child at home and having another one, which is babysitting. Not having babysitter impaired from having children, be it from Switzerland or from somewhere else. because it's the au pair, the program, then, that is a joke again, and another ridiculous video about badly married, socially harmful marriages that prefer sexually means to love somebody else. That's it. Love somebody else more, singing to God or to daddy who is the best, not feeling that way about spouse, means that person does not prefer to spend time with spouse. If spouse is reprimanded in front of parents and not the other way around, that person is not behaving as an adult and does not prefer sex also with that person. If the other one constantly seeks for somebody else, that person does not know what sex is and is to be not married and pursue whatever it is that the person prefers. There are explanations for that, and that person is not broken. That person is just has had experience that exceeds de facto the sexual experience as memory in person to have in intensity, degree of pleasure, and in seriousness of love, to have relationship with anyone less, including persons from the past. So harassment it is then to force persons from childhood, from the past, and from wherever else that are remembered or seen as less desired or less loved. And it is an assumption also to not to create awkwardness that if person requires adoration and impedes work or other relationships or impedes uh, permissions such as permits to obtain license anywhere, that person needs to realize that child is not an equivalent of a calf and that is not an equivalent of work, because that is the problem, especially in places that are in parts cold, and it is not an excuse to kill life, to not to grow fruits and vegetables or not to pick them up as country and ask them for surgeries and for drugs. That is not an indicator if that attorney general is dealing also only the person's licenses to perform for a fee what is being done to kill to animals than to humans, growing personal achievements in having persons basically wiped out. Take interest also in what persons block from publicity. Is veganism good? It is okay to ask if the killing of animals is because persons are so starved and unable to work that nobody can grow a tomato or find an apple. That will give you an answer if veganism is good. If there is absolutely nothing to eat, then that is then starved like a wolf, searching ways to find someone or something that can provide non-killing as a diet, including own work and social services and whoever and whatever it is that can respect that humans cannot provide a baby to be eaten or give excretions to feed, and therefore, or to have a drink. And therefore, that is why food is not sex, and work also is not a source of sex, and money is not source of desire. Money comes with settlement when that desire was limited by degree of love that was less, and that is expressed in verbs and vocabulary that depict work, depict abuse, depict killing, depict also professions, and then the pursuit is to force against will sexual activity or prevent it, lying about own involvement, emotional one, pursuing others to abuse sexually and never marry, to have the person pursue as obligation to deserve food, love, to provide egoic supply, to sink, to produce, for instance, deaths in rage causing Mannheim instead of defending, and also such police work or mental health. That is not source impeding most wanted relationship of work. And source for an adult is work like this. This is work of having person have proper food, proper income, and also a recognition to be able to reach all. That is what I am doing it for, because we are in crisis for free. I do not have to do it. I have to do it because there is an urge and nobody else does, singing idiocies instead or collecting checks to gain sex, nothing more. Because sex is associated with food when there is non-existing agriculture and people are locked up at home suffocating in fear of open spaces, which is also ignorance as medicine, not medicine. And my name is for now in documents Dr. Chevalier, but that will run to the end so that there's no confusion. Who is in registered drug addict or was a registered abuser and an alcoholic, which was my dead father, not me. Impeded from divorcing by my mother, so by her wish.